Hello there, kids. Good morning. It's morning. No, it's afternoon. It's afternoon where I am right now. I don't know when you are looking at this video. I hope you are all healthy, and I hope we soon will be able to get haircuts because my hair is not only silver but fuzzy on the sideburns. So let's hope we can get a haircut pretty quick. Anyway, today I'm going to read you a book called A Library Book for Bear, but I'm going to first of all show you the library that I would go to when I was a kid. This is the Carnegie Library in Redfield, South Dakota. Sorry for all the reflections, but that I would climb up those steps and I would go inside and I would check out books, and I'd come home and read those books, and then I would check out some more books and I would go read those books. I reason I showed you this library and the reason I'm reading you a book about library books is that summer is coming and you will want to make sure you go to your local library when we can get into the library, whenever that is, and check out books and read the books. This is called A Library Book for Bear. You'll notice that here we see Bear, there we see Mouse, kind of on that little stool, and there you see Bear looking at a book. So this book is by Bonnie Becker, illustrated by Katie MacDonald Denton. Now I want to show you something. Let's see what it says on the back. Well, it doesn't have. On the back it's got some print, but it's also got Mouse holding open a book. You open up the book, and inside you have books, 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 books. This is always a good sign for me to, it makes me very happy to have books. Next page is a little basket that's got books. You will meet that basket again in the story. And we then have A Library Book for Bear by Bonnie Becker, illustrated by Katie MacDonald Denton. And look at this down here. That is the actual author signing this book. It's called an autograph. She took a Sharpie marker or something like that, and she put B. Becker. That's Bonnie Becker right there. That's that same B. Becker. And she actually wrote on this page of this very book. So we are very fortunate to own a book that is autographed by its author. Bear had never been to the library. He had 7 very nice books at home, 3 about kings and queens, 3 about honeybees, remember bears like honey, and 1 about pickles. Bear was quite sure he had all the books he would ever need. Very firm on that point, isn't he? There's Bear sitting at his table reading a book. We're presuming it's about pickles. You see the pickle on the spine of the book? He's reading the book, but notice where his eyes are going. They're kind of going one side. One morning, Bear heard a tap, tap, tapping on his door. Boom, 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 boom. Uh-oh. If you're familiar with these books, you know who's at the door. When he opened the door, there was Mouse, small and gray and bright-eyed. "We are off!" exclaimed Mouse with a happy wag of his whiskers. Bear frowned. He had agreed to go with Mouse to the library, but now he was quite sure it was a dreadful mistake. Boom, 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 boom. "Completely unnecessary," Bear announced. "I have all the books I need right here," on his mantelpiece. Oh, there are many delightful books in the library, Mouse assured him. Whew, Bear grumbled, but he had promised, so he buckled up his red roller skates and stepped outside, grabbing a basket for the book. There's that basket. Boom, 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 and off they go, Mouse riding on the basket. Lucky Mouse gets to ride on the basket. Let's just hope Bear doesn't drop the basket. Okay. Ooh, pretty picture here. Bear skated, and Mouse rode in the basket to the library, the wind rippling nicely through their fur. Notice how the wind is rippling through their fur. There's Bear with his fur kind of rippling, and there's Mouse. And if you look very closely, you will see that Mouse's fur is slightly rippling too with the wind. Bear does not seem appreciative of this opportunity to go to the library, but he goes. He's a bear of principle and resolve, and he will also want to make sure we do not skip a single page here. But when they got to the library, that's their library. I showed you my library. But when they got to the library, Bear didn't like how big it looked. There are far too many books in there, he protested. Most excessive. Oh, no, it's quite exciting, Mouse said, leading Bear through the tall doors. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. In the library were many more books than Bear had ever thought there could be. He quickly found a tucked-away corner. But even there were lots and lots of books. Huh! Terribly extravagant. Bear's voice was a little loud. He's paranoid with those books, isn't he? I don't see how anybody could be paranoid about books, but he is. I shall find you the perfect one, Mouse said quietly in his library voice. What about pickles? Commanded Bear. After all, he had only one of those. But Mouse had whisked away. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. I see his roller skates are in the basket. Mouse came back with a thick green book. Bear opened it. Rocket ships! Ridiculous! Bear's voice was getting louder. A good book about pickles is all I require. Remember, quiet in the library, murmured Mouse as he scurried off. I am the bear. He soon returned with a tall yellow book. I am not interested in wooden canoes. Bear's voice was even louder. Quiet voices in the library, Mouse reminded him. My voice is always quiet, Bear shouted. I will find my own book. I can assure you that pickles are quite interesting. Mouse didn't look too sure, but Bear quickly spotted a blue book with a pickle on the spine, and Mouse sprang up the shelf to get it for him. There it is up there, see it? Just above Mouse. I don't know. I like pickles with it in moderation, but I do not know why Bear is so fond of them. Inside were pictures of pickles. The pickles had little fairy wings. They were dancing with petunias. No dancing, Pickles, Bear roared. Shh, said a voice. Boom, 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 boom. They are not alone, it appears. Ooh. Nervously, he fumbled at the next page to turn it. Bear peeked around a bookshelf. There sat a librarian with a cluster of youngsters gathered around her. The librarian smiled, but a mother squirrel squished an angry finger against her lips, and an old raccoon said sternly, "Quiet in the library." Bear turned back with a huffy sniff. "I know when I'm not wanted," he told Mouse. "I want to go home." "Surely at least one book," Mouse began. But Bear cut him off. "I have all the books I need." He looked quite certain. "Then we are off," said Mouse, but his whiskers didn't wag this time. Poor Mouse. Bear stood stock still. He was listening carefully to a voice on the other side of the bookshelf. So the very brave bear began to inch his way toward the treasure chest, the voice was saying. "I'm ready," began Mouse. "Shh!" exclaimed Bear. "It's just getting to the good part." "But you said—" "Quiet voices in the library," Bear bellowed. His fur is riffling too. See that? There's no wind. His fur is riffling. He must be thoroughly emotionally wrought up. The books are rattling off the shelf. This time the librarian got up and looked around the bookshelf at Bear. Bear stood very still and quiet, as if he had been still and quiet all along. "Would you like to join story time?" the librarian asked. Bear glanced at Mouse. "We'd love to have you," said the librarian. Bear and Mouse scooted around the shelf and found 2 empty chairs. The librarian began to read again. Bear lifted the lid to the treasure chest, and inside... The librarian paused. Mouse and Bear strained forward. Inside, she said, was a mound of pickled slices, and each shining slice was made of diamonds and gold, and everyone shouted, "Hooray for the very brave bear!" And then she said, "The end." Bear stared dreamily into space for a moment. Then he looked over at Mouse and announced, "As I said, pickles are most interesting." "Indeed," said Mouse. A new concept, an interesting pickle. That's good news for the pickle industry. Later, Mouse rode in the basket with 7 new books. There were 2 about wooden canoes, 2 about rocket ships, 2 about teapots. There they are, pleased with their library visit. And one called The Very Brave Bear and the Treasure of Pickle Island, which Bear read to Mouse that very same day. And I just discovered that we do not have time for the song. Next time we'll do a song. Thanks for listening.